Okay, now it's on. Thank you, Basi. So my mind keeps going. I'd like to keep going on in the tefillas, but things come to my head, and important things I'd like to share. So, we spoke about the three brachas, and I want to parallel something, especially in light of yesterday. But let's go back a second. There are several techniques that the Bali Musa taught us that in the preparation for the Yom Hadin, tricks or skulas in some sense. And obviously the best trick is to do tshuva and to just make sure that you put your life together. But that's not so easy. So there's certain, not gimmicks, God forbid, but certain special attributes that a person can implement that gets an extra dispensation from God. So one of them is pachad hadin, to have fear, to be conscious of the din. And that's based on a Gemara that says, Kol shana sherasha b'tchilasa misasheres b'seifa, which basically means if a person's humbled and he's in awe and he realizes the consequences and he understands and he accepts the Machal Shemayim, so Pachal Adin, at the end of the year, you'll be enriched. Hashem will give you a good year. That's one. And that could be the first bracha. There's another one. There's a medrash that says that it's brought down that ideally, if it's not practical, the person should shave and take a haircut and put on new white clothes. He's confident that Hashem's going to make a miracle, and therefore we go forward to Rosh Hashanah, not like groveling on the floor. We're confident we're going to win in judgment. So they all ask, how can you be confident? People die. People have to be punished. People have to go through whatever it is they have to go through. So it's been explained. What that means is that there's one thing's for sure. Klal Yisrael is going to survive. The tzibur is going to go on. We're guaranteed. And that's the miracle that we celebrate every year. It'll never stop. God is with us. So how does that help me in din? So Rabbi Shoslamta said, I spoke about this many, I wrote about it also, that there's a concept called Rabim Tzrichim Loi. If you can plug into the tzibur, you are a person that makes a difference. And you realize that I play a role and I'm needed. I'm someone that the community needs, the masses need me, then you become part of that entity called the tzibur. Then you have that guarantee that you'll have an extra credit for the Yom Hadin. So that's the second one. That could be the second paragraph. V'chein ten kavod le'amecha tikvul darshecha. And that means we all have to find, like I've been explaining, unique roles. We have to accept we all have a special role that only each one of us can play, whatever level on the totem pole we are, but each one of us has something unique. When we play that role, especially when we put into the context of others and we realize that we make the difference and we're here to make that difference and we can make a difference like no one else can, whether it's our smile or our advice or just being a good listener, whatever it is, there's a million things we can do to enhance each other and become a person that's needed by others and defining our special roles, covered, as I explained, identity and validation, who we are. That's the second school. But then there's a third school, which I want to tie into what I said yesterday. So the third school is a very famous one. If someone, when someone assaults him, when someone abuses him, when someone insults him, he holds back. He's mavir al midosav. He passes by. He lets it. He goes over. He overlooks the hurt that's hurled to him, and he says, "I'll let it go." So Hashem says, "I'll let it go for you too." That's what it says. So I want to explain that a little bit, because what does that mean? Is it like a game? Okay, I want to win in Shemayim. If the judge will see I'm a good guy, I don't care about other particular with me. God won't be particular with me. Could it be that easy? Could it just be? Maybe it's so difficult not to be Mavra Hamidaisav that when you do it, it's such a big schus. But I think it's deeper than that. I think what it really means is what I touched on yesterday, Yitzchak and Rivka, about the Amidas, that how does a person be Mavra Hamidaisav? What does that mean? Stam, someone did something to me, insulted me, whether it's my family member or a friend or a stranger, whatever it is. I say, what the heck? And I say, I'm going to squelch my reaction. So that's good. Obviously, it's a level of self-perfection, working on Amidus. But it's really much deeper than that, because this is really the story with David HaMelech when he was cursed by Shumi Ben Gera, and his aide told him, "No, we're going to kill him." He said, "No, it's all from Shemayim. if it wasn't destined for me to endure this, then it wouldn't have happened. Whatever his responsibility, I can't take it personal, because even though he was angry at me, and maybe, but I can't take it personal. It's not about me. It's about me and God. Whatever comes my way. When I'm Mavral Midaisav, you're really saying, God, I'm taking it on the chin. I'm ready. That's like Yitzchak and Rivka I spoke about yesterday. It's really about living b'simcha. Living b'simcha means not stam, you always be happy and positive, of course, but it means that I don't get perturbed by the circumstances that come my way, because I realize it's all part of a greater purpose. So I suggest that the simcha that we refer to, and that's what I spoke about yesterday, that we allude to Yitzchak and Rivka, Tzadikim, Yerov, what was the next one? The Chasidim, Tzadikim, Yerov Yismachu, Visharim Yaloizu, the Chasidim Yogilu. When we talk about Tzadikim, and we talk about Yesharim, and we talk about Chasidim, very often what that refers to is Beinam Chaverei. That, with Tzadikim, we do what's right, we're not reactive, we go the extra mile, we're Yesharim. The reason why Chumash Bereishis is called Yesharim, because the Avos were just people who were just straight. They didn't complicate things, and they didn't take things personally. They lived a life inspired, understanding that God orchestrates everything without, and there's no purpose in my being reactive, because it's misplaced if I react to the person that acted in a sense as an agent from Hashem. And finally, of course, the Hasidim who go Lefnim Shosidim, we go the extra mile. But I wanted to emphasize, it's not enough. It's not this. I want to just touch on this, because this is really one of the midas. Maver al Midaisav is really a great asset to have coming to Yamadim, and especially these times people are very nervous, afraid, and especially as it comes to Yamadim, people are more focused on themselves and more reactive. It's a time that testing us to see how sensitive we are to others, and also to realize that whatever comes our way is from Him and not from whoever it is, due to whatever reaction they acted towards us. And I want to read something. So it says, it's the Ramosha Kernavero. He's buried in Tzvas. If you ever did a tour in the cemetery, so in the Talmidim with Arizal, and he wrote a sefer called Teichman Dvar, and one of his Talmidim quotes him. Rabbi Avram Galant was one of his primary Talmidim, and he says, that the greatest asset, the greatest tshuva a person can do and atone for his sins is by bearing insult and not responding. By bearing your insult and abuse, whatever it is, and obviously you have to protect yourself. But if it's just verbal or just personal to abuse, there's no greater tshuva than that. He says, imagine if God says to you, would you rather have a loss of money? Would you rather your house collapse? Would you rather have your children die or get sick? Of course you wouldn't do that. And but we have to go through certain things in life to perfect ourselves and to pay for whatever dues we owe, which is no such thing as punishment, but we have to go through things that draw our attention to Hashem and compel us to become better, because that's the ultimate of everything. So he says, if God gives you an opportunity to take things on the chin, that is equal to all those stuff, and you can mitigate all those other things by absorbing that and addressing your relationship with Hashem with simcha, that God doesn't have to draw His attention to you through other ways. That's what he says. There's a famous story, and what got me thinking about this is a lashon in the Rambam. The Rambam in Pirkei Avos says an amazing thing. He talks about the need to be humble. And he says, he reads the following. He says, I once read in a book of character traits, must be a worthwhile book, that it was asked of about one of the great pious individuals, which is the day that was the most joyous day in your life from all your life, from your entire life? What was the day you experienced true joy? So I said, I'll tell you, it was the day that I was traveling on a boat, on a ship, and my lodgings was in the belly of the ship. It was the lowest place in the ship, the dirtiest, the foul smelling, and it was actually in between cargo and all sorts of suitcases and garments. And there were all sorts of people on the boat, merchants, wealthy people. And I was sleeping on my spot. And one of the people on the boat, one of these dignitaries, had to urinate. I'm reading you exactly what he says. He had to urinate. And he had obviously had no concern for me. I was in his eyes, just cheap and nothing. And he did his deed. He opened himself up, and boom, he urinated me. And I was bewildered because my reaction, I said, God, by the life of God, my reaction, my feelings, I didn't react at all. I was able to control myself and realize that it's not this guy, whoever he is, that's his problem, not my problem. And I rejoiced, simcha gedola, when I reached to the point, when I realized I reached a point that I didn't let it bother me. I took it on the chin, and I didn't feel it at all. And there's nothing greater than that. So the Chazon Ish writes in his famous book, Aminu B'Tachan, he says, the whole purpose of a person in this world is to perfect himself and to become close to Hashem by not allowing the selfish interests and ulterior motives to define his relationship with Hashem. And when a person can be so attached to Hashem that he sees whatever it is as a direct relationship with Hashem, he thanks Hashem for those opportunities and the ability to perfect himself in a way that he can't. And then he says over here, brings a story. He says there was once a story about Zalman Volozhin, a Talmud of the Vilna Gaon, who was a brother to Reb Chaim Volozhin. They were once in a hotel, and the owner of the hotel was abusive to him, and he didn't want to give him a place to sleep. And when I left, my brother Reb Chaim saw that it reported that his brother Reb Chaim turned to him and he says, he was crying, and he said, "Why are you crying?" So Reb Zalman said, "I'm not crying because of the disgrace that I endured. No, but I did feel a little insulted." He says that I'm crying that I didn't reach the level that I'm a nelovim ve'enam olvim shem chapos ve'enam yeshiv ma'isam yav v'smechem yisurim. So what I want to point out is he didn't respond. He didn't say anything to the guy. You would think that Mavram Midas, it means as long as you don't give it back to him, it's more than that. It's about feeling inside 100% shulling with yourself. You don't feel inferior because of it. You don't feel angry because of it. You just deal with it. This is something that I'm given a gift from Hashem to confront and to define by the manner in which I react. And that's the greatest joy a person can, and he faltered himself. So I just want to say it's not enough to access this special talent of Ma'avar Midaisov to help you get the Yamadin by somebody shutting your mouth but cursing under your breath, even though the other person doesn't hear it. It means that you have to get to the point where you just realize it's not that person. They don't define who I am, and my reaction is who I am not. And when I act and react in a way because someone provoked me, then it's me, and I'm introducing myself. It's not just me and Hashem. When it's just me and Hashem, there's no need. When a person lives like that, there's no greater joy, because that's when you're really in control of your life. The greatest joy when we're in control of our life. Okay, we ran out of time. This is one of a famous theme that I like to talk about a lot, and something that I try to work on. It's always not easy, but let's work on that. That's really something. It really is a testament to what Rosh Hashanah is all about. It's us and Hashem, and such a joyous relation we have with Him. If we'd only frame it in the right way, we'd be able to act differently in so many circumstances. Okay, everyone, see you tomorrow. We've got some things cooking in my mind. We'll see what comes up by tomorrow. I'm not swimming, so usually my best thoughts come when I'm swimming, but this was from today, swimming. Tomorrow I'm not swimming, so hopefully I'll have some time to contemplate.